Hey guys, I know it feels like we're in the twilight zone, and I really miss assembling, and I can't wait till we get back to our norm. But I wanted to just take a minute to encourage you. And so look at what Paul says in 2 Corinthians 4, starting in verse 7. He says, but we have this treasure in jars of clay. And let me just stop right there and remind us what he's talking about here. He's talking about the gospel, in particular the ministry of the gospel, the realities of the gospel. He's talking about the promises of the gospel. But we are the jars of clay, or we are earthen vessels. We are dust. And one day we'll be gone. But this treasure is within us. We carry the gospel with us, but what that means is we carry the reality of the gospel with us. The driving force, the reality of the resurrection of Christ, of our ministry, as it talks about in the next chapter, our ministry of reconciliation that we take. And, as we're experiencing a lot of anxiety today, undoubtedly we're all experiencing a little bit of anxiety. We are supposed to be anxious to embrace the promises of the gospel. And so he says, we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. He doesn't expect us to get this through on our own. He doesn't expect anybody to get through life on their own. He expects us to depend on him and in his promises to be able to get through this. Verse 8, he says, we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. For we who live are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh. He says, look, when we are carrying around the gospel, then it is supposed to emanate from within, and everybody's supposed to see that. We're supposed to be the light and the salt. But then you skip down to verse 14, he says it's because of what we know. He says this, knowing that he who raised the Lord Jesus will raise us also with Jesus and bring us with you into his presence. And so we look forward to this. I've had a lot of people, more than usual, reach out to me in anxiety or in doubtfulness or stress, not knowing how to deal with this, and really discouragement. It's a discouraging time because really this is unprecedented. And when you get to verse 16, he says, so we do not lose heart. This is an echo actually from what he says in verse 1. He says, therefore having this ministry by the mercy of God, we do not lose heart. So he's repeating this. Have you felt like you've had the heart kind of taken out of you? It's this idea that we get deflated, that we're just discouraged. And my dad taught me years ago about the word encouraged. It's tied to the word discouraged. It's tied to the word courage. It's actually tied to a word that means heart. He says, so we do not lose heart. In other words, he says, so we do not get discouraged. We do not become defeated and deflated. The word courage, the root word of that, means heart. And so to have courage means to have heart. To encourage means to give heart. And to discourage means to have the heart taken out of you. And he says it a couple times in this chapter, so we do not lose heart. I'm getting encouraged just by reading this. But look what he says. So we do not lose heart, though our outer self is wasting away. Our inner self is being renewed day by day. For this light, momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient or temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal. Have you had the heart taken out of you? You want to have the heart put back into you? He says, embrace the gospel. The reality of the gospel is the reality of the resurrection of Christ, which means that when we embrace it fully, we embrace its mission and we embrace its promises, that puts the heart into us. And that's how we put heart in each other. And that's what it means really to be Jesus and to show Jesus. And I hope these words have encouraged you.